Hi guys, Josh Lloyd here for your NBA first look for DraftKings for Wednesday. We've got 9 games on. Before we look at those, hit the notification bell, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and you can drop some comments down below as well. So let's take a look at the first of the 9 games we take a look at here, the Golden State Warriors and the Indiana Pacers. The Warriors got back James Wiseman and Kevon Looney on Tuesday, so we assume that they'll be ready to play in this one. In terms of value in this game, I'd look at someone like Malcolm Brogdon, who's at 8,200, who's putting up big numbers, averaging 51 over the last 3. Brogo is, he's on a roll at the moment. He does fluctuate a little bit in performance, but I like him here. I think we look at Sabonis, but at 10.5 it is expensive. Now, you can buy into the All-Star snub narrative. I'm not sure I want to get too highly into that. But irrespective of that, Sabonis is averaging 56 points over his last 5 games. So, if we expect 50 points minimum here, I think that's pretty good value for Sabonis. I guess you could look at Miles Turner as more of a GPP option. He's at 6,100, which is quite low for Turner. His recent production hasn't been fantastic, but he can easily exceed 30. He can exceed 40, and that gives him some of that GPP value. I think we say the same for Jeremy Lamb at 5,000 also. Steph's at 10,000 on the back-to-back. I still like it, but I'm not 100% in on it just because of that back-to-back. And 7,000 for Oubre, I think, is a pretty good option for us there to take a look at in this first game of the day. The second game, another team playing on a back-to-back, the not the Houston Rockets, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, is the team that's on the back-to-back in this one. They're hosting the Houston Rockets. We don't know whether Taurean Prince will play in this game, but we do know that DeMarcus Cousins won't. So Justin Patton, who I think last time I did this show, he wasn't even available to use on DraftKings. He is now, and he's 3,500, and he had 18 points in his first Rockets game. They started PJ Tucker at center last time against the Bulls. It didn't work particularly well. I think Patton can be an interesting option here. I like Jarrett Allen at 7,700. We saw Wendell Carter Jr. just destroy this Rockets team, and Allen can do a similar thing. Well, John Wall's at 8,300. I like it. Now, we don't know about Eric Gordon or Victor Oladipo. They're both questionable heading into this one. While Taurean Prince for the Cavs missed Tuesday, and whether he returns or not remains to be seen. We had Dean Wade starting on Tuesday. I'd imagine they'd go back to Wade if Prince happens to be out. David Nwaba at 5,100. I think using Nwaba is really dependent on Oladipo and Gordon's status. Nwaba's putting up big numbers. He's averaging 36 over the last 3. But if Gordon and Oladipo both play, in particular Oladipo, because Gordon has been playing, but if Oladipo plays, then that really does reduce the utility, I think, of David Nwaba in this situation. Well, Jayshawn Tate, I don't like that he's priced up at 6,200. He's been playing well, but again, the status of those other guys, if they actually are ready to play, then it does reduce some of that value. And I think spending over $6,000 on Jayshawn Tate isn't particularly the way that I would want to go about it. I just think we can do better than him by and spending $6,000 than using him. All right, what else are we going to look at here? Next game? Yeah, let's go on to the next game. And that next game is the Boston Celtics. They are taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Back-to-back here for Atlanta. It's a back-to-back also for Boston. So back-to-back for both teams here. So that is going to have an impact. And majorly, that's going to have an impact for Boston. Because that means we're almost certainly not going to have Kemba Walker playing. It is the second night of a back-to-back, and he did play on Tuesday. So we must bear that in mind when looking at this game. Clint Capella is at 7,800. I like it quite a bit. I think there is value in him. Rob Williams at 44. He's always an interesting GPP guy, and with Marcus Smart out and now Kemba Walker likely to be out as well, there are more minutes in that front court as everyone slides down positions. Trae Young's at 9,800. I think I do like it. The back-to-back puts a little bit of a cramp on that value, but I still like that for Trae. I like Jaylen Brown at 84 a little bit, but not massive. And I think we have to consider John Collins at least in doubt to play. He had to leave Tuesday's game. The Hawks called it precautionary reasons for concussion evaluation, but with a game the next day, there's a chance he sits. So maybe we look at someone like the Italian cock, Danilo Gallinari, 4,700. We could use him in that scenario. Of course, they're going to be without Hunter. Cam Reddish missed on Tuesday as well. No Bogdanovic. There's a lot of options there. Peyton Pritchard really shit the bed last game in a start for Kemba, and then he didn't start the game after that. They put Javonte Green in instead. But at sub 4,000, there is a chance of a 30-point game for Pritchard. It's a small chance. but there is that chance for it. So that's why in a game without Kemba, I think he should be at least in your player pool, at the very least. Herter's at 5,400, and I would be more interested in him if we do hear that Collins is ruled out, just for that, just because there's extra usage that has to go around. And of course, if Collins is ruled out, I think that helps Capella quite a bit there as well. The next game we look at, the San Antonio Spurs. They're taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Spurs, this is their first game in forever, and they're going to be missing DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, Derek White, Devin Vassell, Rudy Gay. They are all out of this game. So we get some guys who are going to jump into larger roles. Who's going to start at the 2, the 3, and the 4? I would imagine Trey Lyles starts. I imagine Lonnie Walker starts. Who starts at the other position? I don't know. Keita Bates-Diop? Luka Samanic? Patty Mills? I honestly don't know what that lineup's going to be. It's a real tough one. Lonnie Walker is not very good, but the big games that he does have come without DeMar DeRozan, and now he gets to play without DeMar DeRozan. So that's a good option for him. Trey Lyles, probably going to be the starter. Also, we don't know if LaMarcus Aldridge is playing, because he's questionable too. So Trey Lyles at 3,200, I think we look at that as having some value with DeRozan out. They could also decide to start Aldridge and Poeltl together if Aldridge is back, which I do think is a possibility. You could look at a minimum salary guy like Luka Samanic, who really is more of a 4 than a 3. Maybe look at Bates-Diop as a minimum salary guy, because like who are their wing options? They honestly don't have any. And he's going to have to be forced into minutes there somewhere. On the Oklahoma City side, I like Gilgeous Alexander at 8,500. Well, actually, back to the Spurs, I should have mentioned Pat Mills. 4,300 for Patty. Really good opportunity for him. That's a huge one, I think, there. Al Horford at 64 looks all right, and I do like DeJounte Murray at 7,4 as a guy that's going to get a big increase in usage in this matchup. Poeltl's at 6,4. That feels a little bit too high, but they could start, as I said, they could start him and Aldridge together. And Aldridge's first game back from injury, he's at 6,000 now. We know how much he was struggling before the absence, so I wouldn't be getting too excited about using him here in this one. Just hard to see him get fully 30 minutes in the first game back or anything along those lines. Let's look at the next one. We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls as your next game. Back-to-back here for the Wolves. Second game for Chris Finch. Wendell Carter Jr. is at 5,800. I like that one quite a bit for Carter. He's playing well, and I also like it on the other side. Towns at 9,700 should be able to put up some big numbers. And first-time All-Star Zach LaVine against his former team, against a poor defense. He makes a lot of sense in this matchup. Jaden McDaniels at 35 is an interesting GPP guy. I think there is some definite upside in using him there, while Edwards at 58 doesn't really get me too excited, but I'd prefer to use him versus Kobe White, who I think is a little bit overpriced at 6,500. Ricky Rubio's at 62. I think that's not bad for cash, but I'm not excited about his tournament prospects. And then you got Thad Young at 5,900, who despite really low minutes, averaging just 23 minutes over the last 5, is still somehow getting 33.5 DraftKings points. I'm not really sure how he's doing that, and that makes me skeptical that he's going to be able to continue it. But he's doing it, and the numbers are great, and he's been awesome. But those low minutes and that high usage, it just doesn't feel like what Thad Young should be or is capable of doing on a regular basis. Next up is the Detroit Pistons. They are taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. A back-to-back for the Pistons. A ton of back-to-backs for this Wednesday slate. Saban Lee was awesome again. He's at 3,800. I don't know whether they'll start him over Dennis Smith, but it doesn't really appear to matter. So I do like using him here. While Josh Hart at 4,900. He's getting a lot of minutes. He's getting the minutes over Eric Bledsoe most of the time. So I think Hart at 4,900 looks like one of the best plays of the day. I also like Lonzo Ball on a back, or going up against the Pistons team on a back-to-back. This makes sense for him. And I think Ingram at 81 looks all right to me. Now, they've bumped Zion up to 8,800. I think that's probably too high for Williamson. I wouldn't be going in that direction, while Steven Adams looks like he'll return, so that nullifies value of Billy Hernan-Gomez. Dennis Smith's at 44. Just give me Saban in that one, and then Mason Plumlee at 6,400 is probably also on the high side. It looks like Wayne Ellington will return as well after he rested on Tuesday on the first half of the back-to-back, and the Pistons obviously not going anywhere with anything this season. The next game we take a look at is the Toronto Raptors. They're taking on the Miami Heat. Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero are questionable, while Kyle Lowry is out. We don't know. Lowry is out for Tuesday. We don't know if Lowry is out for this game. That's something we've got to pay attention to. But the Heat ones are interesting because if those guys, Dragic and Hero, return, What does that mean for a guy that's been putting up great numbers recently in Kendrick Nunn? I think there is some real concern as to what his value would look like in that scenario. Siakam's at 8,200. I do like that one for him. He's been giving us 40s relatively consistently, while Bam Adebayo at 9,000. Now, Bam has had an excellent floor. Over his last 5, his lowest score is 43 points. I do like the matchup here for him. I think 9-3 for Jimmy Butler's all right as well. But I'd rather Siakam and I'd rather Adebayo than Jimmy at that extended salary. OG Anunoby's at 56. He's more just a tournament guy. But there is a risk that they also rest him as he returns from a calf injury on a back-to-back, so be aware of that. And then Norman Powell at 65 is, again, it feels just a little bit too high. Kendrick Nunn's up to 6,100, and I do worry that if both Dragic and Nunn play, if Dragic and Hero play, that he just won't have that usage or the playing time. Now, he's putting up great numbers, averaging 41 over the last 3, Kendrick Nunn, but that is with those guys out, and that is absolutely boosting his current level of value. So just bear that in mind and see if you can get a handle on that news before you decide to play Kendrick Nunn. The next game that we take a look at, we've got the Charlotte Hornets and the Phoenix Suns. Gordon Hayward is questionable for this game. Let's see if he plays after hurting his hand/finger in the last one. Devontae Graham is out. DeAndre Ayton's at 6,900. I think it's probably a little bit too high. While McCall Bridges at 57, also on the high side. I reckon we can use Chris Paul. Though at 7,700, I think there is real value in that. And Booker at 83 looks good, especially from a cash perspective. He's been putting up close to 40 every night. Speaking of close to 40, LaMelo Ball is averaging 40 points over the last 5. Now, his salary is very high. 8,900, I think, is too high for LaMelo, despite the absence of Devontae Graham. But if Gordon Hayward's out, maybe we do see LaMelo get an extra spike in usage, and then that number comes in nice. While Terry Rozier is at 7,900. Now, he was horrible in the last game, but had been absolutely dominating before that. I don't buy Terry Rozier as an $8,000 player, so I will probably steer clear of using him here in this one. The last game of the day is the Utah Jazz. They are hosting the Los Angeles Lakers, 10 p.m. Eastern tip-off for this one. The usuals, Kuzma, Markieff Morris, LeBron James, they're all listed as probable. Big numbers for, I don't even know what I was trying to say. They're completely blanked. Anyway, the Jazz are favored by 8 and the total is 220. Let's get back to that. Mike Conley's at 6,100. Yeah, not bad, but I'm not particularly interested in it. I am interested in Rudy Gobert at 7,500. It feels like he's consistently underpriced on DraftKings. And then LeBron's at 10.9. Now, LeBron's playing a ton of minutes. He's putting up some pretty good numbers. I think he's worth using at 10.9, but it might be a little bit on the high side. Donovan Mitchell's at 8,700, and that to me is definitely on the high side, while Jordan Clarkson at 6,000 is putting up 30 plus a night, but I'm also a little bit cautious about how the minutes look with Conley back, and getting to 6,000 worth of value, it might be a tough ask. Montrezl Harrell's at 6,300, and his minutes are way down. I do not trust the level of production he has had in the limited minutes. I trust the lower minutes more than I trust the elevated level of production for Montrezl Harrell of late. Guys, that'll do it for me today. Don't forget to subscribe. Right below, hit the notification button, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below as well. Follow me on my channel too, My channel is Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball. It's linked in the title and it's linked in the description, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.